Well, with me in the studio now is a research analyst with Afri Invest. That's Wale Olusi. Thank you for your time, Wale.
Absolutely.
Now, let's take a look at the last 5 decisions made by the Monetary Policy Committee. Now, as of May 2016, the MPR rate was left at 12%. That was where it was. From as of July, it moved to 14%. And if you look at what we have here, from July till date, which is January 2017, it's been on 14%. It's been maintained. Well, I'm going to be asking Wale why this is so and many more questions around this. Now, Wale, thank you again for joining us on the show. I'm going to start with this 14%, leaving the NPR unchanged. Lots of reasons have been cited. Some experts thought there was going to be a reduction and all of that. What do you make of this?
Thank you, Tolu, for having me here, first of all. I think it's a pleasure. You've got a great facility here.
Right,
on NPR and the MPC, I think the happening all over the world, as you know, more or less, both locally and globally, has forced the MPC to have made the decisions they've made when it comes to NPR in the last 4 MPC meetings that they've had. In July, the decision to increase NPR to by about 200 basis points was broadly driven by the fact that we had inflation running away as at then. That's number one. The second reason is that we were just coming out from an intention to float the naira then earlier in June. The MPC before then indicated that now to force foreign capital back into the economy, because we now have a floating currency exchange regime that is hope that will ease the liquidity crisis that we have in the currency market. The CBN increased NPR from 12% to 14% so that way you can attract foreign capital. I mean, if Ghana is doing say 12% or 10% and I'm a foreign investor, I might want to come to Nigeria if you are going to give me 14%. But we left it in September and November, hoping this will happen, but apparently there are so many other pressures in the economy that foreign investors are concerned about. So despite that increase, yeah, we saw some increase in the amount of inflow, but all of these were still suboptimal because we had so many other problems in the economy that we are yet to fix. We still don't have enough dollar supply. Policies are not in place to support our medium to long-term growth as an economy. And the numbers published by the MBS throughout that period continue to indicate that Nigeria is going through a very difficult time. So as a way to try to balance what is happening domestically with what foreign investors are thinking, as a way of bringing them in, because we really need this hard currency to fix the most critical problem in our economy, which is Forex. They had to leave NPR at 14%. And towards the tail end of the year, in December, the US Fed, which is equivalent to our own central bank in the US, also increased their own monetary policy rate. We call it Fed fund rate there. And because they have a better economy, the economy of the US is strengthening. What happens when the US increase their interest rate like that is you see a massive flow of funds from emerging and frontier markets like Nigeria back to more advanced markets like the US, and that way the dollar increases. I mean, the dollar appreciates in value, and other currencies like ours will weaken. So we really need to keep rates high so that we can stay competitive in the market for capital. I think that's what we are having at the moment.
No, this remains very worrisome, identifying these challenges, and we've heard of growth and economic recovery plan by the Nigerian government trying to strengthen SMEs, the agricultural sector, but many economics and policy makers are still coming out to say, that's before we look at the outlook, which we are going to look at. They're trying to say something fundamental needs to be done. I also remembered you are aligned with the fact that the monetary aspect and the fiscal aspect, they've not been in synergy for some time. But with this, would you say a step in the right direction? Are we trying to work things out perfectly?
Well, I think, first of all, for the monetary policy authorities, they are really at a very difficult position, at a very tight position where monetary policy is not as effective to really do as much in terms of bringing us back to economic recovery. That's the reason why the best they could do at the moment is to just keep our rates the way they are. The real solution to the problem we have are more structural, and that's what fiscal policy can fix. The only thing that the Monetary Policy Authority can do at the moment that will be effective is to see how they will fix the crisis in the currency market. But funny enough, the CBN governor came out yesterday to tell us that what we have in operation is not a floating exchange rate market, but a managed float. Okay, now we know that we have a managed float, but we need to find a more efficient way to allocate a very scarce resources, which is the dollar. And that's the only thing we think the CBN can do. But in terms of how to get the economy back on its feet to work as fast as we want it to do, we need reform. Investors and other stakeholders are more interested in the quality of reform that our policy managers are churning out. They are more interested in the quality of governance. So before now, what is really attractive to investors when they look at Nigeria is the fact that we have this huge population of more than 170 million people. You have a median age where, you know, a lot of young people, and they are very agile and willing to work. So the middle class is expanding. So our demographic feature is very, very attractive. But that was in the past. Now, they are more interested in confidence metrics such as the consistency of our policy, the quality of our governance, and the likes. So until we churn out reforms like that, maybe we are still getting it wrong.
I want to go back to something the central bank governor mentioned in his speech. The central bank governor talked about, you've alluded to that, or you've spoken about that now, about allocating foreign exchange to some critical sectors. When you say critical sectors, I tend to be very confused here. The manufacturers at the time were saying they were going to be giving 60%. I don't think that actually played out well for them because they're still having challenges in bringing in raw materials for them to be able to perform effectively and meet up with expectations. What sectors we now say are critical? We have almost 11 rates as we speak. We have the pilgrims rate, we have the card debit rates, we have the customs rate, we have, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
So how do we put this together and build this confidence?
Okay, so I think for the CBN, when it comes to allocating scarce resources and of course the currency, and they talk about critical sector, I think the first thing we need to clarify is what is important for the central bank. Do we want to stabilize price or want to bring the economy back to a path of growth that is sustainable? And of course, it's high if it's single digit or double digit, because we have the capacity to grow at least 12% or more, given all the challenges we have. So if the CBN is able to clarify that objective in terms of what they want to achieve, then the question is, how do we allocate resources to achieve these resources? Now, in terms of allocative mechanism, there are basically two ways. Either you do it the market way or you do it the government way. Now, most of the time, government way of allocating resources is always suboptimal, where you say, I want to give agri sector this, I want to give this to manufacturing sector. You always leave some people happy and some people sad. But the best way to allocate resources that are scarce is to leave it to the market. Let the forces of demand and supply, you know, determine who gets what. It can be through a managed floating exchange rate regime. It can be through a complete floating exchange rate. But we don't really, you know, care about that. What we want is a system that works. So if the CBN has, you know, come to terms with how you want to do it, then we can go back to what we used to have, where the interbank market is functional, and you know, if you need the currency, you approach the bank at a particular rate, and you allow. That way, if everybody can get it from the official market, nobody patronizes the parallel market or the BDC as much. So the spread between those segments of the market will narrow, and you have an economy that works. Because what is really bringing us to where we are right now in terms of recession is because consumption, which is the driving force of the Nigerian economy, is somehow constrained. And the only way to free it is to allow people who want the dollar to get it, because we are a consuming economy.
A lot of positive projections now. We've been having Nigeria, the growth will be about 1%. We are going to get out of recession, and a lot of that. I even attended one this morning, and the economist was there doing salami, and he actually told us that Nigeria is on the right path, though we still have some things that needs to be done right. In your own words, you're a research analyst, and a lot of work has been done. What do you expect for 2017?
Okay, so actually, after Invest yesterday, we published our own version of the Outlook, and we titled it "Reform or Be Relegated," and that's based on the way we, you know, view how Nigeria is going. Yeah, we think that the economy is really challenged at the moment, but we still have the opportunity to get ourselves back on track if we reform fast enough. What we noticed was that, yeah, the current economic challenges we are facing was broadly driven by the fact that oil prices, which account for a significant driver of our government revenue, when it plunged earlier in 2014, a lot of commodity exporting countries like Nigeria, faced a challenge. But many of them were actually very fast in terms of reforming their FX, reforming, and we have examples like Brazil, like Russia and other emerging markets like that. They were able to reform fast enough. They took in the tough but necessary decisions, and they felt the pain in the short term. But in 2016, many of them have started rebounding. But Nigeria, that happened to also be have been facing the same challenge. We are still languishing in this difficulty because we are not reforming fast enough. So yeah, like you mentioned, yeah, we also think there's a possibility that Nigeria will actually get out of recession this year. But what rate are people projecting? I think you mentioned 1%.
Yeah.
If you look at our 5-year to 20-year average growth in the past, that does not sound like positive news at 1%. We've been doing above 6% in the past, which is suboptimal anyway, because those growths have been driven by the hard work of you and me, the ordinary Nigerians, because a lot of government effort have not really been, this is growth despite difficulty in terms of power supply, in terms of the fact that the state of our road networks have been bad, and so on. So we could have done better if all these things were working effectively. I mean, maybe you will have made more money as a company, as a TVC, if you don't have to incur as much cost on your fuel if NEPA was functional. You get my point now. So this growth have been driven. So a recovery at 1% is still extremely suboptimal compared to what we can do as an economy. But what we think is that if we reform fast enough, reform is going to be a long-term thing for us to get the full benefit. But even then, there are some quick wins that reform can, help us run faster. Like the FX crisis, if we can fix it once and for all, we're taking the pain in the short time. Brazil and Russia, for example, they devalue as much as they can, but the currency have started rebounding now. Inflation was up to 15% in the likes of Brazil and over 10% in Russia, but at the end of 2016, it was down significantly compared to where they are. But in Nigeria, we are now up 18%. Yes, we expect some moderation in 2017, also in Nigeria, but that's due to base effect. It's probably going to come lower if we had reformed earlier. So we need to reform the power sector. Is extremely important. We need to look at how we can, cash on the mining space to, support government revenue. We need to ease our business environment, because if people can find it very easy to do business in our economy, then the only reason why people are running to China today is because it's extremely very simple to do business in China. Labor is extremely cheap, capital is cheap to acquire, and I mean, you can produce virtually anything. Even the US firms are going there. That's why Donald Trump is talking about protecting our jobs and so on now. So we think those are the things we need to do to get ourselves back online. We should stop doing quick fixes like we've been doing in the past, where we leave investment in power and everybody, me and you, will start buying generator. We leave the water supply and me and you will start digging our well. And instead of resolving our security issue, me and you will start building fences around ourselves so that me alone I'm safe, but the economy is not safe, the country is not safe. We need to look long term. We need to see how we can really fix our problem once and for all. And if we can do that, it might take a while, but over a long-term period, we should start competing with these other great countries.
Indeed, Wale Olusi, the researcher from AfriInvest. I know you can go on, and there are lots to talk about, particularly regarding the Nigerian economy and where we find ourselves. But that's all how much you can take with time. I must thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Tolu.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.